guys, welcome back to another episode of JB's Trains. Today I'm going to do sort of a talk over and talk through my layout called Abbott Junction. I'm going to tell you sort of how it came about, when I started building it, sort of ideas and themes throughout it, and just sort of general progression really. So to start with, I'll just sort of stand up and show you. It's a 6x4 foot layout. It's the standard Hornby track mat size, which is actually what it started out as. So when I was probably about 6 or 7 maybe, my dad and my granddad built this table for me, and using, as you can sort of see, the little white edge here, that's actually like a Hornby track mat underneath there. And I had these sort of first 2 lines here running all the way around the track. I had the station over there, which I believe is meant to be Dunster Station, and then I had the points coming off here, but nowhere near as big of a sort of engine yard as I have now. And then I had the Hornby double level crossing sitting right here. To start with, I started with the normal sort of DC system here. I just had the 2 tracks connected independently. I think there is one crossing here which I think was there to start with, but very sort of little else really. Just the station building, this first sort of near side platform, and that was it really. And then I sort of slowly started progressively adding more and more track. I was able to squeeze in this 3rd line here, and at first, if I bring the camera over here, I wanted to sort of add the 3rd line sort of all in sort of parallel to these 2, and come over where this first sort of bit of station is right here, and then have a station platform on that other side there. But then I realised because of that I wouldn't have space for this bridge here, which I wanted a sort of crossing bridge on my layout. So that made me come up with this idea of extending. You see there, you can see where the tracks sort of, they all end there, but then I added in a little bit of straight and then brought the 3rd radius out here and created a sort of double length platform, which I still need to sort of get rid of these hashed sort of white edge of the platform markings on there, and then extended it out here on each side. And then I also extended this bit. I think at first it probably only had about two sidings in it, so I put in the extra points, and now it's got 4 sidings, but you can fit sort of another engine in here. And then I also have this coming off this side into what is going to be the sort of goods yard area. As you can see, I've sort of got a bit of goods over here. But yeah, I kept everything digital, analog, added in the other controller, and you can see all the sort of systems here. For some reason, most layouts you see the sort of station is on the near side, but I don't really know why. I've always just had it on the far side here. Had all the controls and all the power sort of systems here. It could be a lot neater, but I'm not really too bothered really. And then I started sort of just seeing lots of photos of like how realistic some of the layouts we were getting, and sort of getting magazines, looking online, and sort of got some more inspiration really to try and make the layout as detailed as possible. So I think the first thing I sort of started with was getting some of these scaled out houses. These are Hornby Scaledale, all pre-cast, pre-painted, but I just sort of really liked the finish of them and the quality I was quite pleased with. And I tried making some card houses and other sort of buildings, but they just didn't turn out how I wanted really. After sort of getting a lot of the buildings, the farm building over there, I sort of fiddled around with them a bit and sort of tried to work out what the best sort of arrangement was for them, until I came up with how they're arranged now, with sort of a main street coming to what at the time was the Hornby double track level crossing, and then the single one, which aren't actually the same size, but we'll come back to the level crossing in a bit. And then sort of a side street coming off here, and then a sort of smaller one coming off here into sort of a car park area. And I'm going to sort out, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do back there at the moment. And then having sort of a big sort of park in the middle, which will eventually sort of have trees and stuff. And then this sort of almost sort of country lane leading to the farmhouse, and also to the signal box, which I really like the way that that sort of area turned out, and how they sort of, it looks sort of really sort of weathered and stuff like that. I've also got the church over in that corner, and yeah, I sort of mainly started building up, getting sort of buildings like I got. That's the Bachmann Scenecraft Bluebell Railway Platform 2 waiting room. These sort of other little waiting rooms here, and little platform shelters. The bridge, as I've mentioned. The Hornby platform, which I just started using purely because that's what I sort of started off having, with just these little bits here. Comes with sort of grey sides to it, which isn't very realistic. So I got the Metcalf platform making kit, and got the brick sort of side parts, the upright vertical walls of the sidings, and basically glued them all along the side of the Hornby platform, so it looks basically a lot more realistic and actual sort of brick, and it sort of goes with the red of the platform shelters, to be honest. The big sort of step I took was to ballast everything, which took an absolute, it took absolutely ages basically. What I decided to do was, I first of all, as you can sort of see on here, it's spongy. I got the Gauge Master track underlay, which is already pre-ballasted under the track. You sort of just slot the track into it, goes around the curves as well, and you sort of just cut it to shape. And it also sort of dampens the sound of the engines. And I just got that for these 3 lines that you can see here. It's not in the sidings. As you can, I don't know if you can really pick up on camera, there's a slight gradient coming down there where the Cock of the North is. And then I basically just got the matching sort of ballast from Gauge Master to fill in these 2 in between parts. I then got some black sort of ballast for the sidings in here, which I put both in here and sort of merge it here, and then also over here for the goods yard, which you can see how it sort of just verges off into this area here. Coming back to the level crossing then, I got this, obviously this sort of street, it's like a felt sort of self-adhesive road sections, which I think maybe a Gauge Master, but I can't remember for sure. And the fact that the Hornby level crossings don't line up, they're not really the same size, sort of quite annoyed me. So I decided to build my own basically. The track, all 3 tracks were at the same height because they all had the track underlay, which sort of finished like in line with my hand, sort of there where the level crossing starts on both sides. I sort of left a gap, and then I basically just got a whole load of polyfiller and levelled it out underneath the track, levelled off the in-between bit, and sort of sloped up the sides, as you can see there, and then just continued the road over the top, and then with a scalpel just cut it to shape. Obviously you can still see some of the polyfiller, I just haven't got round to, as I sort of found out here when I glued down this section of sort of just foliage, the water and the glue sort of seeped into it and actually sort of stained it green, which actually sort of gave me the idea that if I maybe got some water and put some sort of dark colouring in it and sort of put it, like dropped it onto the edges of the polyfiller and in there, it might actually stain the whole polyfiller sort of a dark colour, so it's not this sort of bright white underneath there. So that's something that I still need to try and work out. I had then sort of went for the foliage and sort of added that around. Oh yeah, I also got, this isn't actually, this is sort of like a sort of matte thing, like you get a roll of it, and it's sort of like just sort of tarmacy sort of gravel that I've put behind the sort of buildings here, just to give it a sort of more rough, not sort of smooth finish. I think it works quite well in sort of showing what sort of not the main road and what is. But yeah, I started getting this foliage and sort of trying to make it as realistic as possible, mix in the colours, added it to over there, down here, which I think looks quite good because you can sort of then sort of tell that it's a bit more rural sort of road leading up to the farmhouse, which I've also got to finish off the driveway. I do have quite a few trees, but they're just not out at the moment. I then sort of added it to this wall here. This is like the Hornby sort of matching Scaledale walls, which I used to create this sort of area of the farmyard, and then used the foliage, like the mixed sort of stuff, which I believe is Woodland Scenics, to sort of blend in the wall, glue it all down, and then got this sort of sandy stuff, the same stuff that I used over here in there where all the tractors and stuff are. More of it down here. Well, I've got quite a few trees that go behind here and on the other side. Yeah, that was sort of the main foliage attempts. I'm going to get a few more trees and put them in here. Then I started rusting all the rails, which I immediately realised I should have done before I sort of got all the ballast and everything, glued everything down. It was quite hard to do. I got I think it was Woodland Scenics, do a sort of rust rail sort of colouring pen that you run along all the tracks a few times, and it gives them this sort of rust finish. I haven't been able to do all of them because the pen ran out, but I am going to get round to try and do all of those. I then converted it to digital. I was sort of debating for quite a while whether I should put the digital option in, but after doing it I'm very glad that I did. But yeah, although it's sort of a bit more expensive, I definitely think that the digital aspect adds quite a lot to the layout. You can do a lot more, have, like you see here, all the engines on the tracks at the same time, not worrying about like if there are more than one engine on one track, etc, etc. But yeah, there is obviously that added cost to it. In terms of loco wise and sort of a general theme of the layout, there isn't really any particular theme, to be honest. It's sort of a bit of a mix of both, because I'm from the south originally. As you can see, I've got the Bluebell waiting room. I was originally going to go southern only with the Q1, the West Country class here, and stuff like that, but then there's all these other engines which I really liked as well, and I just sort of thought I'd just rather have it so I could use any engine, and not sort of really limit myself. So there's not a sort of set theme, sort of LMS, LNER, Southern wise, although as you can see, it's all steam engines at the moment. I am actually looking into getting a few diesels, and sort of starting to get an interest in that side of things as well. But yeah, sort of things left to do. There's always more you can really do. I spent the majority of the time actually creating the layout rather than collecting the trains themselves. But I will probably start doing that a lot more. It's mainly the corners, to be honest, that don't have too much in. In terms of the town, I need to get a few more sort of people, cars. Need to do that driveway, just make it a bit more realistic, really. I need to finish off here. As you can see, the ballasting I ran out. But yeah, the corner over there, the corner down here, and sort of this corner over here. Obviously it has the church, but I want to sort of add a bit more in there as well. Just sort of make everything a bit more realistic. And I want to touch up the station as well, just to make it a bit more real. Another thing which I've neglected to mention is the fact that I have lights. I actually sort of at some point, it was before I started doing digital, but still quite recently, I actually put scale lighting in all of these buildings. As you can sort of see, the wires leading there and to there. I will actually do another separate review on how all those work and how sort of easy it is really to actually set those up and get them working. But yeah, there's not really any themes really. If you have any ideas on what I should sort of put in these corners, or just space fillers, or any sort of other recommendations, feel free to message me or tweet me, or anything really. I'm on quite a few forms of social media now, and then sort of maybe suggestions for sort of engines and rolling stock really. I have a lot of coaches, but in terms of freight wise and sort of goods wise, I don't actually have very much. So yeah, that's been a sort of general welcome to Abbott Junction. You will be seeing obviously a lot more of this layout in the future, and for both sort of reviews on engines and updates regarding sort of what I end up doing, and just sort of other how-to and demonstrations on how to do stuff. But yeah, if there's anything that you particularly would like to see, feel free to message me or tweet me, or anything really. I'll try and respond as quickly as I can and get a video up sort of describing or helping you out. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you found it interesting. There will be a lot more to come. And yeah, so yeah, like, share, subscribe if you would like to see more of these.